soon, and then we should be good to go. Oops, what happened here? All right, what's going on, everybody? It's your good old boy JR coming to you live from Las Vegas, Nevada. As always, we are here on this beautiful journey called the 2023 NFL Draft. As always, on the bottom screen today, I got my brother Brian here, who's been joining us single day, a partner there. And then today we do have one special guest, a good friend of mine, Mr. Jimmy Cooper, the Texans fan. Jimmy, how we feeling today, man?
Oh well, we feeling good. From the last time we talked, we didn't have a first round pick. Now we have two. So yeah, we extremely excited down here in H-Town.
Yeah. Oh yeah, no. We were supposed to have you on the second one. It's just unfortunately conflicts happen. It's perfectly fine. So we're glad that we got to have you on today. We're looking forward to see what you guys think too, or what's the rumors happening in Houston. What are the fans saying down there? Who's the guy that you guys want preferably? But today we're going to talk about the Browns because is their pick. Well, it would have been their pick, but they traded away for Deshaun Watson, and that's why Jimmy's here with us today because he's going to be also helping us making the 12th selection as well. So, without further ado, gentlemen, we ready to go?
Oh yeah, we in here.
Let's do it.
All right, let's do this. So the Browns, unfortunately, a 7-10 record, 18th best offense, 20th best defense. Now, even though they did trade for Deshaun, we couldn't get him until the season was practically over, and that was the end of that. There was no Deshaun this year. That's why Jacoby leading leader. Passing yards with 2,600, 12 TDs, 6 interceptions. Nick Chubb doing Nick Chubb things, 1,500 yards, 12 touchdowns to go along with 239 receiving yards and 1 touchdown. And Amari Cooper, Dallas Cowboy, now ends up in Cleveland and had a great year with 1,160 receiving yards and 9 touchdowns. Brandon, Jimmy, in one word, describe the Cleveland Browns to me. What happened? Do you believe that Deshaun Watson is the answer for this Cleveland Browns team?
Uh, One word I would say. That's a hard one. Unlucky. There we go. Unlucky. Um, I think Cleveland became a team that became so desperate for a quarterback. They overpaid, and the rest of the league is now showing that what Cleveland did was it will hinder the league for the remainder of the future until basically Pat Mahomes or Joe Burrow resets the market again. Um, they really hurt the league with the guaranteed money that they gave Deshaun. As I tell people all the time, Deshaun probably won't see 75% of that money because they will. The cap hit is somewhere like 60 some million, I believe, next year. There's no way they can let one player do
Mm-hmm.
that, restructure that deal. That's a guarantee. Um, as far as Cleveland goes, man, I think Deshaun wanted to be there. He felt like they have the weapons. I just think like I said, that the Browns are unlucky. Whether it's injuries, whether it's a draft pick that comes in, people don't want to play there. People get there, they don't live up to the expectations. Uh, they're just an unlucky franchise. They're a well respected franchise from being a hard team to play. Playing in that stadium, the Dog Pound is a hard place to play. Um, the fan base is probably one of the best, top tier fan bases. They're gonna support them, but like I say, just the team on the field unlucky.
Okay. Brandon, what you got, man?
I feel like Cleveland screwed themselves. I mean, let's be real, Cleveland screwed themselves. Is Deshaun going to be the guy? Probably. Yeah, could be. Do I think Cleveland is still going to figure it out? No, I don't. I think Cleveland is a doomed franchise. Like you just said, they sacrificed themselves. They sacrificed everything to get Deshaun Watson. So it seems like even if he works out, what is working out look like in Cleveland? Like what is working out looking like in Cleveland? Like what you get to the Super Bowl, you get to the playoffs, divisional round, conference round, but you win a division. What is working out? Because Cleveland's never had it, never had working out. Like what is working out for Cleveland? So yeah, it kind of looks like you did everything to get him, but what are you going to do to keep him? That's really what the conversation really is going to fall into, because eventually Deshaun Watson is going to do what he did in Houston. This is kind of stupid. I don't want to be here. We have no receivers. We have no defense. We have no weapons. We have no coach that I trust. What am I being here? The general manager don't really know what the hell he's doing. It's going to happen again, and it just makes no sense to have a guy like that and you paid him all that money just for him to tell you in 2-3 years, yeah, I don't want to be here. I don't want to be here anymore. Trade me. In 2 or 3 years, we all knew this. In 2 or 3 years, because what they did to get him, he's going to be the reason why they can't make any moves in draft or even off season because of him. And he's not going to restructure his deal. I don't give a damn what anybody say. He ain't that type of guy. He ain't restructuring his deal for a team that he doesn't trust. So I just feel like, with that being said, it just doesn't seem like it's going to work. And I feel like Cleveland is just screwed.
The thing that gets me with Cleveland, the thing that gets me ordeal, and we've been bringing it up more and more lately. Last year around this time, Atlanta was going to go all in for Deshaun, and I think what happened was, I think the reason they backed second was the type of contract that Deshaun wanted. And I kind of, now looking at the big picture now, I mean, it kind of makes sense now that Deshaun is going to be the reason why a lot of these quarterbacks that wants guaranteed contracts are not going to get them anymore. Because it's like, no, like only a franchise like the Browns would do that. Only a franchise like the Browns would do that. Because
Okay,
what you're saying, when you're a franchise that is desperate for a franchise quarterback, go ahead.
yeah. Here's the thing. I think Joe Burrow is going to reset the market because Cincinnati actually has him and they know what he is. Lamar Jackson, right, this is kind of the conversation, right? Does Lamar Jackson deserve the money? I think Lamar Jackson deserves more of the money than Deshaun do. I think he deserves the contract more than Deshaun does. I saw Lamar Jackson. I saw Lamar Jackson win the MVP. I saw Lamar Jackson when he got in the playoffs.
Because one of them has an MVP.
And that's the thing. Like, I've seen him change a franchise over. Deshaun Watson couldn't do that shit in Houston.
Yeah, I would have pushback on that because the first 4 years,
you had a defense. You had JJ Watt. You had a defense. You had
yeah,
like you had a defense. You had something. Soon as shit went left on offense and defense, Deshaun Watson's like, get me the fuck out of here.
yeah. But again, that from down here, it wasn't Deshaun saying he wanted to be out. Really, what started it was the fact that the Bill O'Brien and the New England Patriot stuff is what started this whole mess. Uh, that's really what started it. When they rehired or when they hired Nick Casario and Deshaun wasn't here to, kind of speak on his behalf of what he wanted, that's what led to most of this stuff happening. And as we've, grown and to understand, uh, from down here, Bill O'Brien initially did not want Deshaun Watson. Bill O'Brien wanted Patrick Mahomes. The report from what I heard is that when Bill O'Brien and Rick Smith was beefing, and Bill O'Brien knew of some situations that Deshaun got himself into in Clemson. Now, how much did they, put out? Who knows? But from what we know now, we do know Deshaun has this problem that he did have this problem in Clemson. We hit it. That's why we lost a draft pick. That's why the Texans, paid off a lot of those ladies. We tried to hide it and help him, and it didn't work. And that's kind of where the beef starts with Deshaun. So, Phil on the play, the play side of it, Deshaun, I think Deshaun deserved the money just because of the fact that he was a baller, we should say. But I do agree where Lamar does deserve the money more because he did win the MVP. But at the same time, I always said that Deshaun is kind of that mix of Pat Mahomes and Lamar together. Like he can't run as good as Lamar, but he throws better than Lamar. He can't throw the ball like Pat, but he runs better than Pat. And so he's kind of like that mixture of both, but he would never get the wow factor because of the two things that Lamar and Pat Mahomes do. They're outliers, and he's kind of stuck in the middle. And then having that Bill O'Brien pulling him and holding him back, that's what kind of kept us away from having that MVP type of play from Deshaun.
I mean, I think I can understand where that comes into a factor too, where obviously the Texans and Deshaun, let's just call it what it is. They had a falling out. If you want, that's the way I look at it. They had a falling out on what happened, and then obviously, that's why the Texans got in trouble the first time because they tried to hide it. And then when it came into light, it was, oh no, this was all Deshaun's idea, and it's like, no, man, like we went into this together. But obviously, like when it comes to legal cases and everything, the more money you have, the less trouble you're gonna get. That's the way it works. That's just the way it works. Deshaun was never gonna beat a billionaire in court. Like, no, that was just never gonna happen. Now, what he could do is stay face, save himself some, not to serve some hard time. And I think what saved him was the way it did play out, where all of a sudden all these women continuously blah 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 blah, blah said ABC, said keep saying the same thing, and and in a matter of moment, what took on forever, at 5 out of the 26 settled. So either now, granted, are these cases? Yeah, like these cases are very serious, but you're kind of hurting your guys' cause if 25 out of that for X amount. And it's, no, if you can't try to destroy a man for a year and a half, trying to raise his image, trying to destroy everything he's worth, and all of a sudden it's like, I'm gonna ruin you, but if you pay me X amount, all's forgiven. It's like, no, you either go all the way, and if you say he's as dangerous as he is, then as shitty as this for me to say it, yeah, the dangerous person should be behind bars. But if you're willing to let go for X amount of this, then why should I believe in any case anything like that the women say at the? I think for Deshaun, obviously the fallout between the Texans didn't help. The cases didn't help. And also the fact that, let's just be real, him and the general manager of the Texans, not on the same page. There was just never, it was never work. And so the best decision to do was to be in this situation. We're gonna request you to go, but we're gonna tell you where to go. I believe Deshaun had a hand pick. I want to go to Cleveland. Who the hell says that? I'll go to Cleveland.
Yeah, and see,
Nobody. So the Texans, I think the Texans gave Deshaun ultimatum.
right, he actually said that he didn't want to go to
The
Cleveland.
Texans
Cleveland
gave
was
him ultimatum. It's like, you stay here.
Yeah, Cleveland was one of the first teams that he said he moved out.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know, but it's just like, it's just one of those things where it's like, all right, in order for me to get away from all this and all this trouble, I'm gonna go to Cleveland. That's a hard time.
Yeah, that shit sounds stupid.
Now,
I think Cleveland gave him the money.
That's it.
I think literally that's what it came down to.
That's literally it.
That's literally what it came down to.
Listen, they gave him the guarantee money. That's it. That's the only reason why he went to Cleveland.
I'm not gonna bag on him for getting. I'm not gonna bag on him for trying to get his bag. Like, no,
get your money. I totally agree. Get your money
when you can. Get your money when you can.
Yeah.
But
don't make it seem like don't make it seem like this is the only franchise thing. It'll make it seem like this franchise is the best franchise in the world.
Like, no.
Yeah, like it's just like it's like
bro,
you just went to the. It feels like you went to the Texans of the North. You went to the Texans of the North. It don't make any sense. You went to the Texans of the North. Like, what the fuck were you thinking? You went to the Texans of the North. The fuck are you doing?
That's what it came down to. Now, get your bag. Now, get your bag when you can, but let's not act here like, oh, well, this was Deshaun's first choice. It wasn't even his fifth choice. Like, let's be real about the first second. But when Cleveland came out and said, hey, I'll give you all the guarantees in the world, why wouldn't no other football player is going to get that contract? Nobody. No other football player is ever going to get that contract. No way. So now, obviously, we knew the suspension was coming. We just didn't know how long. And, he got suspended first time, and then they're like, that's not enough. And then they're like, all right, well, here, add these many more games, and then your first game back is against the Houston Texans. That's so NFL. That is so NFL written all over that shit. Like,
we gonna get some money.
And at Houston, of all places, like, come on, man.
We gonna get some money out this shit. We gonna get some money out this shit. You know damn well how the NFL roll. We gonna get some money out this shit.
I was surprised they didn't make it a night game, to be honest with you.
Sunday night game.
Push the buttons, put it on Monday.
I've never seen a game at the season. At that point of the season, I've never seen a game where two teams literally had no one on, but draft position being the game of the week, of being talked about like game of the week. I'm like, really? Like, really, folks? We got some teams trying to push for the playoffs. We got some teams trying to get like top over here. It's like, and when you think about that Houston game, it's like, what?
Nothing beats reality TV, and that shit was drama filled. You wanted to see it.
Nothing.
And then make it matters. Make matters worse, the Texans actually go out and show up and play like a real football team that night. That afternoon. So then that makes matters worse because we need to lose.
Just fucked up your whole pick.
What are we doing?
Just fucked up the number one pick. Everybody talk about when they beat everybody talk about the last game. That really is the game that fucked up they pick. Like you should have just not even gave a fuck. Like, what are you doing?
Yeah, Deshaun ended up making some plays
to beat all the way up at week 18.
Yeah. It was the Colts game.
Damn, man.
Well, really, the Titans.
The Texans were.
It was both the Titans game. The Titans is what helped Jacksonville get into the playoffs. So we got to get that straight for Jacksonville fans. If it wasn't for us, y'all wouldn't even sniff the playoffs. Then secondly, that Colts game, that dude, that safety did that on purpose. There's no way in the world you can tell me he opened his hands in 2.3 seconds, just let the ball pass him like that. Come on now. He did that on purpose.
That sounds like a Texas fan.
It was a weird deal. Now, it sounds like a Texas fan.
On purpose.
I will say this.
A picture where the guy,
it was on purpose.
Yeah, he really had the ball interception in his hands. All he had to do was just squeeze his hand. Like, and he just let the ball go straight through his hand. Come on now, bro. Like, that's some all Madden football type stuff. He did that on purpose. Did it on purpose.
Now, I will say this though, for the Browns, anything they can do. Defensively, Grant Fleet, Myles Garrett, That's all they really have defensively. Don't get me wrong, they'll work with a corner, yeah, but they need a lot of help, and they really hit that free agency market defensively. Dalvin, who's one of the better run defensive tackles out there. Juan Thornhill is now a Brown. After the whole job out Rams, just now they get Juan Thornhill, Mike Sion Takitaki, Maurice Hurst, Tristan Hill. So they're trying. I mean, they're trying. It's not like the Browns suck because of lack of trying. It suck because it's just never worked. Like that's the thing. It's not from a lack of trying. And then obviously, and Posiak coming back, big sign. Jordan is good. Hey, those are good additions. So, Brandon, let me ask you this: what would you give this offseason so far for the Cleveland Browns?
Shit. A B minus. I say C plus. I give it a C plus. You got to see how it looks, man. Fuck, I keep saying it. You got to see how it looks on paper. I mean, paper looks good, but on the field, it could be a completely different fucking story. I think the Browns' defense has been the only thing that's been good about the Browns. I mean, let's be real. That offense has struggled outside of Nick Chubb, and that's about it. I mean, so it just feels like we shall see how that defense looks with all these new people. Myles Garrett should be probably a monster, and yeah, I mean, as Aaron Donald continues to wind down his career, I think Myles Garrett's going to take the mantle. But yeah, I think defensively the Browns are going to be great. Offensively, you still got Amari Cooper. I don't trust him as a number one at all. You know this. I don't trust him as a number one. Just something about him just makes me feel like he's going to drop the ball when it matters most. So yeah, I give it a C plus. Not impressed.
Okay. Jimmy, what you got, man? What would you give the grade for the Cleveland Browns over here?
I'm a hard grade. So, but their best move was re-signing their center. That's their best move. That was one of the centers that I wanted to overpay as far as market value. He ended up getting I think 6 million. Yeah, he's probably one of the best centers in the game right now. He's splitting hairs with a couple of people, but he's up there as far as like role. So I think that was their best signing. And then, like you say, you had Maurice Hurst. They needed some interior runs. I agree with you with the Amari Cooper thing. Amari Cooper looks like a number one receiver, but doesn't play like a number one receiver. David Njoku is a good tight end, but he's a Amari Cooper of tight ends. He looks like a tight end at times.
Ouch.
People don't. I think he could be a good receiver, but again, he's not. This is why I say they're unlucky because the picks that they have, you think that they should hit on these guys. People Jones was a mid round pick that a lot of people like, and for his inconsistency with catching the ball, which he had those at Michigan anyway, is now catching up with him now. So again, that like you said, they're trying. They need help. I believe they need help at edge. Um, I think they need a lot of cornerback depth. Not being able to pick in the first round would probably hinders them. Of course, it's gonna hurt every team, but this draft class is deep for what they need. And whenever they do pick, they could get somebody like Denzel Mims, a receiver from OU. They could get a guy like AJ Terry from Wake Forest. Safety help, JL Skinner from Boise State will be a good fit late round.
Boise. Yep.
Yeah. Keon White, the Georgia Tech defensive lineman, he's a little undersized. Might not be good to fit in that cold weather, but he'll be a prospect that's somewhere third, fourth round that could play in the edge. So they like you said, they're kind of like the Texans. They need help wherever they can get it, and the only difference is they have
wherever it lands, basically.
basically, yeah,
Yeah,
spin the
no,
wheel, and
true.
if it says draft a quarterback, draft a fullback, hell, just pick it. That's where they at. You ask me, but
Nah, I feel you. Nah, I feel
but
you.
yeah, I'll give them
Well,
like C plus C somewhere in there.
yeah, I think I'm gonna go with that too. I'm gonna give it. Well, like I said, it was the best move that they did was re-signing Ethan Pasiak. Like you said, one of the better centers in the game that's up and coming, and him it solidifies your anchor within the offensive line. So that's very important, especially with a rookie quarterback that is going to be coming in. Because let's face it, guys, it is going to be a rookie quarterback. Now, I will say this though. Getting Dalvin Tomlinson to me is probably going to help out Miles Garrett more so than it is going to help out the whole defense. But again, as long as Miles, the defense will be set, and that's kind of what I buy on this upcoming year. And I think this year, for the first time, they literally have depth within the defensive line, which is something they haven't had in quite a while. With getting a former player like Maurice Hurst, Tristan Hill, players that were kind of like they were kind of cut for whatever. This one was because of health, the other one was because of maybe he didn't just pan out to be who they thought they were going to be, and then now they're going to get a chance to go and be depths to the Cleveland Browns. Now, Jimmy, you've been following for a while. You've been following our journey to this point, and I want to take you back to episode number 2. Okay, episode number 2. So, um, me and Brandon, we pretty much both agree the Texans are going to go quarterback. I don't think there's a secret that the Texans are going to go quarterback. It's just it played out a little bit different than what I think most people want. Number one, I took C.J. Stroud. Brandon took Anthony Richardson's number one. Number two, I took Bryce Young, and Brandon here took C.J. Stroud number 2. So, as a Texans fan, Jimmy, preferably, what are the fans saying? Who would they prefer to have as the quarterback of the Houston Texans?
Well, through my channel, Texan Underground, and through Twitter and talking to people, it's a big bag of jelly beans right now. Um, you hear guys want Anthony Richardson. You hear guys saying they want Bryce. You hear guys say they want CJ, and then you have that back end of people saying draft Will Anderson. So we all, of course, we're gonna listen to what D'Amico and Nick say, and kind of ESPN. They get their inside story some kind of way, right? So we all think that QB is number 2, right? Whether it's CJ Bryce or Anthony Richardson, you know, who knows? But in my opinion, my humblest opinion, through breaking down quarterbacks, because that's the one position that I love to follow the most. I don't see the top 4 changing any kind of way but what we have right now, unless Anthony Richardson just starts blowing people away mentally. And that's kind of where I see why he has Anthony going number 1. That's the one thing that's going to be able to separate them is the interview process, because everybody know Bryce has it up there. Anthony Richardson has tools that we've never seen, right? I don't think we ever
Right.
seen that big, that fast. Like, people compare it to Cam Newton. Cam Newton was like an offensive lineman running a 4.6, and he can throw. We get that. But Anthony Richardson is just a little bit different. I kind of said Anthony Richardson was like
Yeah,
like
5'5".
he's kind of like the LeBron James, right? Where you create a player and on Madden, and you want him to be this height, this weight, this fast, this strong. You get what I'm saying? And that's what Anthony Richardson is to me. Those tools you can't teach. So I get number 1, but like I said, from 1 to 4, my board would never change as long as I do my drafts. CJ is the best fit for what Frank Wright likes to do. Bryce Young is going to be the second QB off the board because Houston been scouting him since last year. Will Anderson will be the pick at Arizona. I've heard rumors of Tyree Wilson really being that guy that they like. But I just think Will Anderson should be the guy for Arizona because of how Rich Gannon used Hassan Reddick in Philly, and then AR has to be the guy with the Colts because if Shane Steichen is running the same offense that he ran in Philly, there's no other quarterback in this draft that can run it the way Jalen Hurts ran it. But and that's AR 15. So uh, regardless, to me, Bryce is the number two pick. I don't see Carolina. Carolina is blowing a lot of smoke with the trade up, saying they don't know who they want. They know who they want, and to be honest with you, it's either out of what you two guys said, is either CJ or it's AR.
And I think that's what it's really going to come down to. So it is that time, folks. It is time to make 12 selection here, Texans. So here we go. Jimmy, you being the guest of our show, who do you want your team to select at number 12?
Well, the way I've done several draft boards, and the way several drafts have fallen, of course, I'm gonna follow you guys' rules with the no trades, which I love doing no trades as well because doing trades you kind of forcing the team to pick a certain player, and that's not how the draft works. So as I had told y'all in the comments when we talked about the Falcons, I believe that's the team with the ability to want to move back because the quarterback I feel, which is Will Levis, will still be there, and I think the Texans will be wanting to move up. So preferably, I think we move up to 8, but sticking at 12, making a selection. I have my quarterback. I have to go best receiver on the board, and the best receiver on the board to me, in my humblest opinions, is JSN, Ohio State receiver, the guy that can play the X, he can play the slot, and in this offense, you need somebody that can throw the ball to and get it to him quickly and make plays. We don't know about Mechie. People keep saying, well, why would you draft a slot guy? Hey, Jackson Smith and Jigaba played slot because he had Chris Olave and Garrett Wilson. Let's just be real. Everybody that talks about football or you hear these guys that play with them, they all say JSN is the better athlete out of those two. And we just saw what they did in the NFL. So don't chance it. Don't try to get too cute. Don't try to reach to get an offensive lineman. Don't try to reach to get this one of the pass rushers. A lot of the pass rushers will be there in the second round. Trade back, maybe, but go get your receiver. Go get that weapon. As we've been saying, you either got to protect the quarterback or you got to give him a weapon. Get him a weapon. You already protecting quarterback with the kid. So JSN, welcome to the Houston Texans at 12.
Does the injury concern that he did suffer last year? Does it concern you or
not necessarily. I mean, hamstring injuries are a continuous issue. So yeah, I can get where people say that it will worry them, but I think he held out because he knew he was going to be a first round pick, and he just didn't want to risk it. He knew, I do believe that they, kind of spoon fed us something that wasn't true. I think the hamstring issue was probably a little deeper than just a pulled hamstring, but those things,
right?
yeah, it's been so many people come back from hamstring injuries, man. That's not it. That's really not the issue for me.
Okay. Well, Brandon, what do you got number 12? Who do you have the Texans selecting at number 12 here?
All right. the the number 12 pick in the 2023 NFL Draft, the Houston Texans will select Jackson Smith Najabi, Ohio State, like receiver. Like it's just listen. I don't understand how people don't understand this. Houston's clearly going receiver. This is like you got your quarterback, you go receiver. It's kind of like make it easy on yourselves. And like I said on episode 2, they don't have a number 1.
Yeah.
They don't have a number 1. Like they don't have one. You think Robert Woods is a number 1? Because I don't. They Noah Brown's a number 1? Because I don't. like, do you think? Like, I like the moves Houston has made. Dalton Schultz, good pickup, but it's only so much he can physically freaking do. You need a number 1, and if CJ Stroud is at number 2 and you pick him, you need somebody that CJ Stroud already has instant chemistry with. Why not the receiver he's been throwing the fucking ball to for the last 2 years? That makes way more sense. Then how many times we got to see Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase? Clearly draft a goddamn quarterback and a receiver that kind of already have chemistry. Probably works for your team. I'm just assuming it probably will work a minute, like easily. Like it probably would just instantly click because you already know who the hell he is. And that is the thing. And also he would probably help.
It's working out with Jalen Hurts and
it's working. No Super Bowls or anything in there. They haven't been to the Super Bowl or anything. I'm just saying shit. But just the fact of the matter is, he will also help Robert Woods and Noah Brown. He will help them to how CJ Stroud likes to throw the ball and what he's particularly looking for in a receiver, how to cut, how to make things happen. So if they do draft CJ Stroud, why not just get the receiver that he's been throwing to for the last 2 fucking years? It makes sense. It's instant chemistry. It would easily get your team. And if Noah Brown and Robert Woods go down or something, just play pitch and fucking catch. It's kind of obvious. Like this is the easiest pitch and catch you can find. Like, why would you fuck that up? Even if you go Bryce Young at number 2 and he's there, get him a receiver that he could trust. Like, and I think Jackson Smith is going to fit perfectly with Houston. He's already kind of got the build that a Houston receiver would need. A DeAndre Hopkins, Andre Johnson. Like, he's got that type of slim figure, but can kind of get the speed going at some points in the game. So I feel like that's what Houston needs. They need a guy that is technically a number 1. Do I care that he fits in a slot or not? I don't give a shit. He's going to be the number 1 receiver. I care less.
No, and another thing, it seems like for a while now, these wide receivers that are coming out of Ohio State, they've just been circling back into being really, really good wide receivers. And then obviously everybody's looking about the whole Marvin Harrison Jr. next year. So, it's like Ohio State is becoming the new wide receiver U. Seems like wide receivers just keep Ohio State. So, look, I like everything, and this pick really took me a long time to put it down because, it was between 2 wide receivers for me. It really was down to 2. It's just when I looked at the receivers that Texans did sign and the receivers that Texans do already have, there's really one big issue that's killing me with the Texans these last 3 seasons. It was even with Deshaun. It was red zone deficiencies. And the reason for it was they didn't have the big dude. They didn't have the big target. They didn't have the red zone target to where you're like, there's really nobody I can really just try to do a sure fade if it comes down to it. And I know my guy's got this dude. And I think that was the biggest issue. There's no real red zone target for the Texans. Now, getting Dalton Schultz, yeah, that's going to help a little bit. But even then, it's like, how much more can it really help? Even last year with the tight ends that the Texans have, it just did not work out. So really what it came down to me was 2 wide receivers. It's, yes, Jay Sayan is like, dude, I don't really care what people say like you guys are saying. He was number 3 in the injuries. It's like, look, dude, this dude is just, if he would have played, he would have just shown that he's just as good as Garrett Wilson. There was no question about it. And me what the Texans need that they haven't had in a minute. It's just a big red. They can get there, and they're gonna get there now with that powerful running game, the new quarterback at helm. And I think that with the Texans, big targets. They just need a big man to catch the ball for them when it comes to red zone. So it's gonna. I think with the 12th in the draft, I'm also gonna take a wide receiver as well. And I'm going to go with Quentin Johnson, the wide receiver out of TCU. I mean, you can't get anything bigger than that. Can't get anything faster than that. You can't, these type of wide receivers don't treat. These guys are, you need a tall receiver. They need the tall dude.
What's up with this? What's going on? What is you just want to be different?
They need a tall guy.
What is going on with you, Juan? Do you want to just be different? Like, what is going on? It's just like, what are you doing?
All three. You know this more than I do.
All three.
Hey.
He's just giving you the finger wag like Matumbo. Like this is not good. This is
no, man. No. Listen, the Texans need height. They need height. They need height.
I would agree.
Need a red.
Listen, Juan. I agree. But sometimes just because you need height doesn't mean it's the best situation for you. Especially if you got Bryce fucking Young at your quarterback. You're gonna get a super tall receiver, but if he can't see him if you can't see over the pocket or getting hit every fucking 5 seconds, which that line is still not fixed. I mean, shit, how people want to fly to the dice it. That offensive line is still not fixed. How much is Quentin Jefferson really gonna fucking do? Hey, CJ Stroud.
It's just they can.
I feel like with Jackson, they at least get some space. I don't know how much Quentin Jefferson is really physically gonna do with Houston. That's why I don't know about that.
So I'm gonna give you a quick breakdown of real quick. Then I'm gonna ask you a question. On your list of receivers, well, I'm gonna ask you a question first, both of you, since we both went, all three of us went receivers. Nat, your top 5 receivers right now in this draft. Your top 5.
The top 5. Okay, Brandon, would you like to go first?
I'll put Quentin first. I will put him first. I just don't see how he fits in Houston, and that's the thing. I put him first, but I wouldn't see how he fits in Houston. I go Jackson after him, and then I'll say Jordan from USC. Zach Flowers is still weird to me, but he will fit somewhere. I don't know where, but he will fit somewhere. And and I picked the kid from Tennessee, the receiver from Tennessee. I think he'll fit too.
Hyatt.
Yeah, I think that might be actually a pick that nobody's really gonna try to run and try to go get, but that's a guy that I think fits probably any offense.
Okay. So you still have Quinn. What you have Quinn
for me? So for me, it's Johnson from TCU, JSN, Jordan Addison. I got Jalen Hyatt 4, and then I have Josh Downs, the wide from UNC, at number 5.
Okay, so
that's my 5 right there.
I'm a little different than you guys. I have JSN 1. I have Hyatt number 2. I have Quentin Johnson at 3. I have Zay Flowers at 4. Then I have Tank Dell and Jordan Addison, Josh Downs.
Jordan Addison. Oh, Tank Dell's actually nice. Tank's nice.
Yeah, so
Tank's nice though. Tank's nice, but I don't know.
Those are my 5. Like that's they're all 2 really good 2 receivers. All 3 of those. Even Zay Flowers. Zay Flowers, when you said best fit, I've always said his best fit would be San Diego. Always. It will be San Diego because they have the 2 big
Chargers.
And they need somebody to stretch the field. So when you said Quentin,
yeah.
So my quick impression of Quentin Johnson while I was saying that, if you go back and look at a lot of TCU tape, Quentin Johnson catch radius, even though he's 6'4", he lacks a wide catch radius. He doesn't win the jump ball that you would think he would win. So when you say red zone target, you think about Brandon Marshall's, the Andre Johnson, even though he don't have the touchdowns, but you see, you talking about big statured receivers, right? Randy Moss is the guy that can just jump out the gym. Those type of receivers, you don't see that with Quentin Johnson, a guy that's been falling down draft boards. I don't know why. And killing Ringo. The last time we seen him play, he locked down Christian Johnston, and Quentin Johnston had one catch in the national championship game. Now,
That
granted,
is an interesting.
TCU doesn't run the best offense, but hey, it's still college football.
Yeah.
And
That is very interesting. That is very interesting that you did bring that up. That the whole Kelly Ringo that he is going down. I don't. But like I said, I mean, there's only going to be 31s in the first round, and he might be number 33, 32, or 34. And I think it's just what it is. I don't know why he's going down. It's just kind of weird that he's going down. But if he does fall into the second, I'll tell you what, somebody's going to get a solid corner in the second round. So, I mean, I don't know. I don't even know what to think about that. It's like, I don't know why he's falling down and kind of like at a pace too, because, in the beginning of the draft, it was like, oh, he was like outside of the top 10. Then he fell to the middle, then the 20s. And now I'm seeing mock drafts where he's like in the 35, 39, 40. I'm just kind of like,
yeah.
Like, is he bombing interviews or what's going on? Like, what is happening?
At the beginning of the season, I think they had him like the number 2 defensive off the board after Will Anderson. So
yeah, they had him number 2. They had him at number. Obviously, we don't have the. I just find it very weird that falling down like really, really fast. He's falling because prior to the season, when the draft boards came out, he was like the number 2 cornerback. Now flipped within the last 2-3 months. That is totally flipped now. It is now, Christian Gonzalez. It is now Evan Witherspoon. It is now Cam Smith. It is, now we're looking at positions where, it could be the kid from Utah. It could be, Ringo. It could be another corner out there. And it's just like, I don't know what's going on with that whole Ringo situation. But should he fall to the second, I'll put it like this: somebody's going to get a good second round.
Does it feel like they feel like he might be? Yeah. Does it feel like he might be product of the Georgia system? It could be that. It could be like a lot of people feel like he just product of the Georgia system.
It could be. Because
we forget sometimes that a lot of these teams be thinking, can he come into this team and actually physically do what we see on tape? Because is he really that player, or is it just because of the system he's in?
And you're right. See, that's the thing that I've said. When people be saying, "Oh, well, Jalen Carter is Jalen Carter, and he doesn't have talent," like, dude, you do know Noah Smith was a 5-star athlete, right? Like, all these guys that he had were like top 5, top 10 in their recruiting class. Jalen Carter played with a bunch of top level guys, so even Nolan Smith, you can go across the board. So I can get that, where we're saying, he had 4 people that can get to the quarterback in under 2 seconds, and that allows him to be aggressive. So could he get beat on double moves because he's going to be that aggressive?
And I say that because me and Wine did this last year, and we were like, Trayvon Walker shouldn't be number 1. He's not even the best linebacker out of fucking Georgia. We literally said that, but you saw him without Georgia for the first time. You're like, oh, wow, he's so good. But now you see him in the fucking NFL. It's like, oh, there's something wrong here. There's like something off here. And Devin Lloyd is actually the better pick that they actually made in that whole fucking draft. Like it just feels like, is it because he's a product of Georgia? And it's the same shit you saw with Alabama. Like Alabama players at a certain point, it was like, are they a product of Alabama or are they actually really fucking good?
Right. And they do have one of the best coaches in the NCAA.
And it shouldn't hurt them. Yeah, it shouldn't. But that's how motherfuckers. You know this, right? That's how people think. Like you know how people move, and especially in draft time, they just want to see somebody outside of the comfort zone of that college or that team. They want to see you, and it seems like right now that's kind of what Ringo is going through. It's like, is he really that good, or is he just a product of Georgia? And it's like because he shouldn't be falling, like y'all said. There's no way in hell Joey Porter Jr. and Devin Winterspoon and all these other guys should be over him when he's literally been on a 2-time national championship team. There's no way in hell that's possible.
And he's played against these top tier receivers.
Like he shut down Alabama last year. He was one of the quarterbacks that shut down Alabama. Like Bryce Young. Like you shouldn't be just saying he shouldn't be anywhere near the top 10. That's crazy.
And it happens every year. It happens more often than you think. I mean, literally, it just happened last year. Yep. When we talked about this, we were kind of like, well, why is he being hindered when I clearly know he's a way better player because of the product of the school? It's like, that's not his fault. That's not, no. For me, when I was kids, it's like, it's never a college kid just fall to the school and the talent was already there.
Right.
Same thing when certain players get to a certain team, and it's like, dude, it's not the player's fault that they got drafted here. It's not his fault that this line was already set up, and he is a year better than the first. It doesn't work that way. It's because you know what it was? Great drafting, great free agency. It's not the product of the school. The previous class free agency that they had, it's not their fault. But again, what we should be based it on is talent. The thing about it is we're all going to have different opinions on what believe is the better talent, which
and we've even said this,
but we shouldn't knock a kid down. No, it's like we see you play, while you combine, you test it out well, good. Falling. It's either you're bombing these interviews, or like Brandon said, maybe these guys are just putting them down because of the product of, and But if that was the case, then why the hell did Trayvon Walker go number 1 last year?
And that's what I'm saying. Like, in perfect example, right? Trayvon Walker went number 1 last year. What the consensus said was the best linebacker in Georgia was Nakobe Dean. How the fuck he go 3rd round?
That was that, and
like, that's okay. If you ask, if I were to get us 3 and 7 more people, non-biased people, and I'd be like, all right, man, here's the deal. We're going back to April 2022. You are the general manager of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Here are your 2 choices: Trayvon Walker or Aiden Hutchinson. Even looking at tape, without even knowing the interviews, with just looking at tape and production, what are you doing? What route we go? Me personally.
Yep, I'm happy for Aiden Hutchinson though. He didn't had to go to Jacksonville. I'm so happy for Aiden Hutchinson. He had to go suffer in Jacksonville. It's a beautiful feeling. I mean, come on.
He didn't have
his own bed. Come on.
Went into his dressing room while he's trying to change to get ready for a game. So, Jacksonville, man, I heard so many bad stories about Jacksonville. It's crazy. These boys, they didn't have rats in their cleats. Like, how are you an NFL team and how do you do something like that? How do you have those issues? You have roaches and rats in your locker room. I don't get that. That's unheard of.
get it. I don't get it either. A multi-billion-dollar franchise, and you can't give these players clean locker rooms. Like, come on, man.
And then I
Like,
think
dude, I know some college locker rooms that are better.
I think they graded out when
Like,
they
I
do
know
the
some.
grading. I think they graded out like the
Oh
worst
yes,
facilities of total, even with the healthcare, the hospital region thing. Like the hospital is too far from the stadium, and it's all kind of stuff that's just wrong with that situation.
I'll put it like this: I have seen some college locker rooms that are better than some NFL locker rooms, and that is not a joke. That is for real. I have seen some locker rooms in college that are way better than some NFL locker rooms. And it's like, you shitting me right now? Like, you kidding me, right? Like, come
Mhm.
on, man. Like, for real? Like, I just, like I said, I think for some teams, it's like you said, it's just, I don't know why some general managers just overthink the pick. Like, don't overthink it. Because in life, listen, the NFL is already hard. When you see a player, there's a few because you don't know until they hit the pad. But there's some players that come on, and you look at their tape and you look at it's just like, yeah, he was meant to play in the NFL. Don't overthink it, man. Don't overthink it. And that's what happened. Jacksonville overthunk it too much, and they're like, well, Aiden Hutchinson's could be a better player, but we're going for the now. Like, no, you're not going for the now because you have nothing to do for now. You need the best player right now. Like, and that's the thing. That's why
Yeah,
some franchises like Jacksonville overthink it. And then you got the fans who are just like, hey, we're just going to take the best for us and we're going to make it work.
uh,
It works. It
Jacksonville.
works.
Yeah,
Who
Jacksonville.
knew?
Yeah, I think Jacksonville just went for boom or bust over consistency.
And you know what? I think that's gonna happen in this draft as well.
And that's
Oh yeah.
Like I said, this draft is a lot of boom or bust, especially quarterback wise. But teams need it. Quarterback is what it is. We value that really high. Because I'm a person like B. John Robinson. I think to me, just
oh,
a prospect rating, B. John is the third best prospect on my board. Like just athletically wise, there's nobody better besides Will Anderson. Like you can't the stuff that B. John Robinson has, you cannot teach. You're telling me that you can get right now. I can get a running back that is built like Saquon Barkley, but moves more like Christian McCaffrey, and it's on tape. Is is tested when you look at the 40s and you look at the three cones and the shuttles, you see, and then you look at the workout, you see the leg, you see the quads, you see how big he is and how muscular he is. Give him a year in the NFL weight room, he's gonna get bigger, he's gonna get stronger, he's gonna get faster. And you're telling me that just because he plays the running back position, we shouldn't pick him? I have a hard time, hey, I have a hard time with that too. So it's a lot of boom and bust, and especially the top half. I really think Anthony Richardson could be one of those big boomer busts because I really feel that Anthony Richardson's ceiling could be like one. He could be fighting with Patrick Mahomes and Joe Burrow as far as like that top three tier QBs. I don't see Bryce being that, but I see Bryce being more of a steady a steady between 9 and 12 type quarterback. And the same with CJ. Yeah, that steady. That kind of Dak Prescott, if I can say, like they just do enough to win so many games, but the playoffs they need that extra piece to help them get over. He can get you over it, but
mhm.
he has to have more pieces, and type deal.
I, I actually think Will Levis is more of the bust than
Yeah,
Anthony
no,
Richardson.
Well,
I think Will Levis is more of a bust than Anthony Richardson is. I think if you put Anthony Richardson in any offense that actually fits his skills, he's gonna tear it up.
Yeah.
He gonna get you at least 5 good years where you like, oh shit, okay, he's really good. Like he can really do some shit. Will Levis is like, you gotta work in like 2 years. Like if this shit don't fit in 2 years, we're fucked and we're back to the drawing board. Like the Jets are right now, like with Zach Wilson. Like it feels like that. Like if you don't work in 2 years, fuck, we gotta trade and get somebody in here, or we're gonna have to draft somebody.
Right. And when last time I talked to a group of people, I gave them this. I said, when you look at your top 10 all-time quarterbacks, just look at the top 10 all-time. How many of those guys were considered strong arm quarterbacks? Not just as prospects, but I'm saying even in the NFL. To me, there's only 2. That's John Elway and Dan Marino. And some people don't even put Dan Marino in their 10 because you got Burrow and Pat Mahomes. Pat Mahomes was not considered a strong arm quarterback coming out
down the road. I mean, let's
and Joe Burrow is not considered a strong arm quarterback. So when you look at that, how many strong arm quarterbacks are top 10? To me, Will Levis is Jeff George. I don't know if you guys remember Jeff George back in the day. But
holy shit.
I remember Jeff George.
I was 100% 100%.
Wow.
But thrower of the football, I don't. He throws extremely too hard. He just that's.
God damn. On a Sunday, we just throwing shots at Jeff George. This shit is just on Sunday. Just oh man.
On a normal ass Sunday, 1 week before Easter, man.
On Sunday, just
I think what
happened
with
what did he do?
I love Jeff George. I hope he watches.
Yeah.
You gotta turn this shit off.
No, I think what happened with I think for me, just in my evaluation with Will Levis was if he was going to take the reins as being top prospect quarterbacks from last year to this year, obviously the offensive line was not the same. Randall was gone, but that if you are one of the top clear-cut favorites of being a quarterback, that should not stop you. You should be the reason why the team is actually better than what they are. That's the elevation factor that I always look for. And I think what kills me with Will Levis is, do I believe that he'd be a good quarterback in the NFL? Maybe him in the first, but like me and you talked about, like me and Brandon have talked about, when you're a team for a quarterback, like a franchise quarterback, sometimes you're gonna take a player that, unfortunately, because he is a quarterback and you're that desperate, you're gonna take it. Perfect example. And it happened to the same team twice. There's no reason EJ Manuel should have gone in the first round when Buffalo drafted him. But because Buffalo was so down in the dumps and they needed a quarterback, EJ Manuel was the best quarterback in that draft class. That's what happens. They did it with JP Losman. They did it with, there's a lot of guys. The Tampa Bay, I remember the 1 year where Joe Flacco, when Tampa Bay took the next guy, was Josh Freeman really the second best quarterback? To maybe, but worth it in the first? Probably not. Probably not. Like you mentioned, Jeff George. A lot of these guys, it happens. It happens every year. It happens almost every year. Where some of these just overvalue them because it's like, we need a franchise guy. It's the same thing I could tell. We're gonna see in like it. Was Kenny Pickett the right choice for the Pittsburgh Steelers? Yes, he might have been the best quarterback in that draft class, but was he really worth that first rounder? Maybe there was an offensive lineman out there for Pittsburgh, maybe another defensive player, maybe another wide receiver. We don't know. We're going to know until 2, 3, 4 years, but then you're a team that's desperate for a quarterback. Sometimes that's what's going to happen. You're going to take a quarterback because And unfortunately, quarterback is the position that gets all the hype more than any other position in the NFL. Oh, that's what, and that's what I expect to happen. That's what I expect. I expect 1 and 2 QB. Should Arizona get 3, then it's obvious. I don't think it's Will Anderson. I don't think there's any question. 4 and 5, they're going to go quarterback. Seattle, yeah, they locked down Geno Smith for 3 years, but it's only a 1-year contract. You really think that they're going to? And that's the thing. Well, we might need another quarterback if this whole Geno Smith thing doesn't fall out. Why not get a guy that could just be with us for a year? And that's the thing. Some team going to take players like the quarterbacks because you're desperate and you're going to need it.
All right, with the Colts situation, right? They got the 4th pick. Do you trade and get Anthony Richardson? I mean, draft Anthony Richardson. Or do you trade and just get Lamar Jackson and just see how the shit works? Because you said this earlier. Nobody knows how to fit that offense better than Jalen Hurts. Well, I think Lamar Jackson could.
Yeah. So, this is what I think teams are gonna do. Okay. So, what I think is really finna happen is teams are gonna talk to. Well, a lot of the AFC South teams have already reached out to him. From what I understand is that Lamar wants a lot of money, right? They don't want the teams themselves don't want to do the Ravens dirty work. They don't want to sit up there and come up with this contract to make it, because they have to make it unbelievable for the Ravens not to want to sign them. You get what I'm saying? So, with that being said, you have to give Lamar so much money so they don't counter it. Then you have to give up the 2 first. I think if at 4, if the Colts say let's go ahead and get somebody like Tyree Wilson, or they draft somebody else, they don't draft a quarterback, that's gonna give us the telltale sign that they are the number 1 team for Lamar Jackson. Because I don't think anybody wants to give up the first rounds this year. I think the team, whoever gets them, is going to get them after the draft. And a rumor that I heard from a credible source down here in Houston, they said that the Texans push for possibly trading the Cleveland Brown pick next year because people and teams are valuing and saying that the Cleveland Brown pick is going to be more valuable than the Houston Texan pick next year. So, if that's true, and then at 2, if we see Will Anderson go at 2, then that's a telltale sign. I wouldn't touch Lamar Jackson just based off of money wise. I don't like sending those types of picks. If there's a way that I can trade them without the NFL rule, because of the franchise tag they put on them, and I can trade something else besides 2 guaranteed first round picks, then I would.
The tender tag,
Yeah. But
because that's
like
the thing too, and that's the thing that and that's a very good thing too. And that's the thing. I'm glad you did bring that up, because a lot of people are kind of like, well, why isn't he traded? It's because he didn't get the regular franchise tag. He got the tender tag, which is you got to give me your 2 first. And it happens to a bunch of players. It happens to a bunch of players every year where they get the tender tag instead of the regular. See, and that's why I always say, well, what tag did he get? It's a whenever I read the report tagged, it's like, okay, well, which one? If he's getting the tender tag, then he's still on the market. For me, if you get the tender tag, it just means you're still on the give up now. If you get the franchise, like, oh yeah, we're good.
And
we're good.
I feel like
franchise.
I feel like
you're.
I feel like also with the Ravens, I don't think they're gonna match. I don't think they're gonna match any offer that he gets. I don't think they're gonna match it, because I think they've already shown you they don't value him that way that everybody might see him. So whoever gives him the money that he deems that is respectable to him, he gonna go to that team. They just got to figure out what the trade compensation will be, just like the Jets in Green Bay. It just feels like
and
the
that's
Ravens
the thing
are not.
too.
Yeah,
I
it
think
feels like the
both
Ravens
of you
just.
did bring up a good point. I think both of you did bring a good point. And I think both came through at the same time. You know, with you saying that I don't think they're going to match it because obviously the Ravens have already shown, like you said. However, in Jimmy's case, I don't think nobody wants to do the regular work, like he said. And both can be true at the same time. Because could you imagine if a team comes in and okay, I'll give you my first two, but I get to keep Lamar. I get Lamar for 33. You're really going to tell me you're going to let Lamar go for $33 million? Baltimore fans would be pissed. They would be pissed. They would be pissed. Baltimore fans would be like, they would literally go to the facilities and start knocking down doors because it's like, remember, the tag's only worth 32 and a half. So if a team comes in like Indianapolis or whatever the case, a team comes in and be like, okay, I'll give you my next first two, but I'm only going to offer him 33 million. And if Ravens say, then the Ravens are going to have to be looking at each other like, dude, we're really going to have to match this because if we let him go, then we lost Lamar Jackson over 33 million fucking dollars. And that would be stupid on part of the Ravens.
Yep.
And that's the thing. Both can be true at the same time where they want to pay Lamar, but they don't for nothing either. And I don't care what those first are. You're not going to get a Lamar Jackson in the next two drafts with your first two picks. Lamar Jackson picks like that only happen once every 6, 7, 8 years. You're not going to get that every single time. You better hope you can get something to equal value of that.
Yeah, it's like I told you, Tuesday? Like I said, Tuesday. It's something about the Ravens that they feel like they're like the Bears, where the Bears are just stuck in like, we got defense. We can just put whatever quarterback in the offense, and it's just going to work because we got a defense and we got a running game. And it's like, no, you pretty much sacrificed what offense you had to give Lamar Jackson whatever he needed at that time. And it feels like the Ravens are just playing that game of anybody could fit here. No, the fuck they can't. Like, why are you telling everybody that anybody can fit there? Like, this isn't giving up Joe Flacco. This is a completely different, once-in-a-lifetime player. Like, that is a completely different. That's like Kansas City saying, we could just put anybody in the offense because it's just Patrick Mahomes. Who the fuck? It's like, no, you're fucking up. Like, what are you doing? There's a difference. And I feel like the Ravens are playing that game. It's going to get their ass burned. I feel like it's going to get them burned in the end because you're going to let the loyal Ravens fans leave. And again, your defense is not that fucking good. Like, it's just not that type of defense anymore. You don't have that defense anymore that you can just rely on.
The fans will still be there.
They going to be there because that's all they got.
The fans will problem is they're going to be pissed. Like, they let them walk away for $33 million fucking dollars. That's going to be the mess. That's going to be the messed up part about it.
I say this.
If they let them go for it, has to be a number to be where Raven fans would be like, man, it would have set.
I feel like
okay, it happens.
I feel like
because if your prize is just 2 first rounders and you let them walk away between $33 million and $36 million, oh, dude, if I was a Raven fan, I'd be pissed. I would be freaking pissed that we let go of a Lamar Jackson between $33 to $36 million. I would be pissed. That's just me, though. I can't speak for every Raven fan. Imagine majority of Raven fans would be thinking, damn, we only got 2 first rounders and we let them walk away for how much?
I mean,
that would suck. That would suck.
Well, Green Bay fans will sit here and tell you, shut the fuck up, because we just gave up Devontae Adams for a first and a second. The fuck? It's like we feel your pain. Fuck.
That's not my fault. That's not my fault.
We feel your pain. Fuck. It's just like, what are you doing? We just gave up Devontae Adams.
That's not my fault. That's not my fault.
The Texans fans are like, we got all you motherfuckers beat. We got DeAndre Hopkins, David Johnson.
See, this is the difference between the two. This is the difference between the two, though. The Devontae Adams, that was the general manager decision. That was a GM decision. The Lamar Jackson, that's inflicted. That's self-inflicted wound. There's two different. The Green Bay Packers, they made that decision to let it go. This is self-inflicted. You've had 5 years to figure this out. Now you're in this situation.
You could have signed it right there and there to the extension after the MVP season. We've all said this. You could have signed it right there to the extension after the MVP season. Why you didn't want to do it? Because you didn't want to set the market. And it seems like this is the problem with you dummies. It's like, just do it. What the fuck do you care about the market? It's going to get reset next week any fucking way. Just do it. Like, why is it this damn hard? Like, it's going to get reset next goddamn week. What are you talking about?
Let me ask y'all this real quick. Do you think that the Aaron Rodgers aspect of this is also holding back the Lamar Jackson situation? As far, because from what I'm hearing, the Jets came off of not the Jets. The Green Bay Packers came off of one the first round pick. It's being said they want twos now. So if Aaron Rodgers goes for twos and he's a Super Bowl winning quarterback and multiple time MVP, why, if I'm Tennessee or I'm the Colts, why do I have to give up 2 ones and 38, 40, we'll say like 48, $49 million? I think
because one's on tender and the other one isn't. One is willing to part ways. One team is willing to part ways with the quarterback. One team is just so bitter about possibly losing the best thing that ever happened to that franchise.
Yeah, I'll say one is younger and one is like entering his prime and the other one is very non-committal. Like, it's hard to fucking bring in a quarterback that you don't know if he's even going to play next year. He might get to the point where the season goes a little too left. And you're like, you know what? I'm done with this shit. I'm retiring right now. And now you fucking screwed. It's just like, and that's what it sounds like. It's just like the Jets are so afraid that Aaron Rodgers is going to retire at any moment and then they're fucked. And that's kind of why it's been held up because it's not just the number one. Like you said, it's not the number ones because I don't think they want Green Bay. It'd be smart if Green Bay gets their number one right now. The first pick that they have this year. That'd be smart if they do. I mean, the 13th pick would be perfect for them because they could fix 2 things in 2 quick picks. But yeah, I think the Jets are kind of getting to the point where they're like, I don't think Aaron Rodgers will play for 2 goddamn seasons. And that's the problem. For Lamar Jackson, this is a longer commitment. Yes, he's entering his prime, but it's a longer commitment to a lot of people. And that's like, we're paying a dude that, so what, he gets injured. But at the same time, I'd rather pay a dude that I know right now gets on the field and will play his ass off than a guy that's very non-committal, not coming to training camp until he feels like it, whatever the fuck that means, and doesn't have instant chemistry and doesn't want to put in the work with the receivers to even get chemistry.
Yeah, I've never been. I want to say this. I do like Aaron Rodgers. I think Aaron Rodgers is a really good quarterback. He deserves to win the MVP. He deserves to get what he has. I just do not like his leadership, and I don't like. And the fact that he gets away with a lot of this stuff that he gets away with it kills me. Like, you can go on a Pat McAfee show and say that you take shrooms and nobody questions it. But then you get a guy like Randy Gregory, he smoked weed, and then all of a sudden the whole world just wants to blow up. But it's okay for him to promote that he takes shrooms and takes all these different Adderalls and pills before the game. I don't get that. I don't know why more NFL players are not saying anything about this, because if anybody else was to come out and say something like that, they're getting drug tested immediately, and the suspension is coming right after that. So,
yeah, we talked about this.
I just think the whole Aaron Rodgers saga for me. Yeah, I think for me with this whole Aaron Rodgers saga at this point, I'm on the same boat as almost the majority of people. Either play or don't. I don't care because the NFL will keep going after you're gone. That it's like watching him play. I love watching him play, and I think he's one of the better quarterbacks. In my same time, it's like, hey, I've seen a lot of some of the greats fire, and I didn't stop. Yeah, and I can't. So it's either you want to play or you don't. And he didn't. His career is not like the man he hated for the first 4 years of his life of his NFL career. He's playing, and he has become the person that he hates. And whose fault is that? Nobody else but your own. He became what he hated. And why is he acting like this? Because whether he wants, dude, you're exactly like Brett Favre. The team has already said we want to move on and see what we got in Jordan Love. The same way they did almost those 13 years ago when they said we want to move on and see what Aaron Rodgers has. That's life. And the fact that he is so he has become the president, I find it so funny because only he can blame himself for this and nobody else. The reason why nobody wants to talk about it, the reason is because we can't hurt the man's feelings. Yes, the fuck we can. Yes, the fuck we can. You're a great quarterback. The problem is, I can't commit to you either because you had them just a couple seasons ago. Now complaining that you do it, and that's commit to him. At this point, the best thing for the Packers to do, honestly, is get what you can for if you're backing away from a first and it's just becoming twos, you better take the next deal the Jets or whoever team gives it to because it ain't gonna get any better than that. The longer you hold on to him, the longer that trade value diminishes, and it happens all.
Yeah, I'm like Juan just said. That's Brett Favre 2.0. I can't wait to see him in the Minnesota Vikings uniform at 41 years old. It's gonna be so great. He's gonna be 41, throwing it to Justin Jefferson. Justin Jefferson looking at him like, "What the fuck is wrong with you?" Like it's just a bunch of. It's just like, what the fuck is going on? I can't wait to see him in that purple. It's gonna be awesome. He goes back to Lambeau, and everybody's just like, "Fuck you." Fuck you! It's just a bunch of people cursing out.
That he wanted the Jets, the same team that Brett Favre didn't want to go to when he got traded. Frank is that. Yeah, we're gonna go send another quarterback to the Jets. Yeah, I can see that happening. Him going back to, playing for the Vikings.
I'm just saying.
Can't do it anymore.
I'm gonna tell you how this is gonna play out. He's gonna go to the Jets. He's gonna play. He'll go to the Jets. He's gonna play for 1 year, and then he's gonna say, "I want to retire." And then he's gonna see Kirk Cousins lose his job, and he's gonna be like, "I'm gonna go to Minnesota." I'm like, God damn, Brett Favre, what the fuck is going on?
And here's the funny thing. What's the funny thing? Yes, Aaron Rodgers still has 2 years left on his contract, but this is his last year league team money. Kirk Cousins only 1 more year in his contract with Minnesota, so take it, fellas. It's like, hey, do what you gotta take it for what you will, man. So it is what it is. But other than that, we will be back tomorrow. Me and Brandon will be back tomorrow to discuss the 13th pick in this year's draft. Jimmy, I want to thank you so much for joining us today, man. It was always fun. It's always fun talking to you. We will see you here in a few weeks for the Super Show because you're going to be one of the contestants for the Ultimate Mock Draft Show. So me, Brandon, and Jimmy you're looking at them. And I think we have 2 more on the lineup. So I think that's going to be a lot of fun. Like I said, tomorrow, me and Brandon will come back. We will keep it rolling with pick number 13, and we'll see how it goes. But we are 12 picks in, only 19 more to go because there's no 32 this year. It's only 31. Miami, thanks for saving us a day, man.
You suck.
Thanks for saving one day. Yeah, well, you tampered. You broke the rules, so that's why.
You suck.
That's why you're stuck with what it is. But everybody.
Oh, that's Tom
But
Brady.
although Miami is building a nice team, though, I ain't gonna lie, they are. And Sean Payne, and they couldn't even get neither. They couldn't even. You settled for. You're settling for Tua and Mike. You're settling for Tua and Mike McDaniel.
Oh,
Hell
shit.
yeah! Hell yeah!
That sounds like
Miami.
a perfect combination.
But other than that, fellas, enjoy the record. Oh my god! Enjoy
like a
the
perfect
rest of your
combination.
Sunday,
Nowhere.
fellas. We will be there tomorrow.
It sounds like a broken down car.
Leave the Dolphins alone, man. leave the Dolphins alone.
With a really
leave
good
the
engine.
Dolphins alone, man.
Got a Pinto with a really good engine. How the fuck does that sound?
Prius with no
Sunday, poor friend.
Only Tyreek Hill and Jetta while to work, and then you just like fuck.
How do you own a Prius and a Ferrari at the same
Four good tires.
Hey, just living from an apartment with a G-Wagon and a Bugatti outside. They got
a cell phone, but the car cut off when the phone kick off. Like you should just go. It's just bad, man. What the fuck is Miami doing? I'm gonna call you back, but car cut off. Fuck, I'm calling you.
Call me after 7 with my free.
Call me up. It's free. Oh man. Man, no wonder they were behind the free agency most of the time. Holy crap.
We gotta get these jokes on. Miami's not on the list this year. We gotta get these jokes on.
Oh man.
Poor Miami. Poor Miami. But Jimmy, thanks as always, man. I appreciate you for coming. We'll see you here in a few, so stay tuned. Everybody enjoy your Sunday. Enjoy it. We'll be back tomorrow.
Let's go, Roman.
God.